Dr. Hansol Kim yawned as he looked at the clock on his clinic wall. It was almost midnight by Earth time. The small medical facility on Trading Post 47 was quiet, which was unusual. Normally, the night shift kept him busy with drunk traders or workers hurt in loading dock accidents. He walked over to the coffee maker, a luxury item he'd brought from Earth. The rich smell filled his office as he poured himself a cup. Through his window, he could see the mixed crowds of humans and aliens walking past. Some were tall, others short. Some had scales, others fur. After 5 years here, none of them surprised him anymore. The doctor was about to sit down when his emergency alert began to flash red. Someone was at the back entrance, the one reserved for cases that needed privacy. He grabbed his medical kit and hurried down the hall, his white coat fluttering behind him. The sight that greeted him made him stop in his tracks. A massive figure stood in the doorway, easily 8 feet tall. Its gray-scaled skin and sharp teeth marked it as a Varrock, the most feared species in known space. But what shocked Hansol wasn't the Varrock's appearance. It was the fact that the warrior was carrying an injured companion. "Help," the Varrock said in broken standard English. "He dies." Hansol's doctor instincts took over. "Bring him in," he said firmly, pushing fear aside. Room 3, the big table. The injured Varrock was laying still, too still. Green blood covered its chest armor. Hansol pulled out his scanner as the healthy Varrock carefully placed its friend on the table. "What happened?" Hansol asked, already cutting away the armor. "Ship explosion. Metal in chest. Others say no hope. Heard humans, heard you help impossible cases." Hansol nodded as he worked. The Varrock's unique biology was making things worse, their famous healing factor. The thing that made them nearly impossible to kill in battle was trying to heal the wound with shrapnel still inside. It was like concrete hardening around a knife. "Nurse," he called out. His night nurse, Jaewon, came running in. To her credit, she only froze for a second when she saw the Varrocks. "I need the blue surgical kit and 2 units of universal plasma," Hansol ordered, "and call Dr. Kang. Tell her to get here now." The healthy Varrock moved closer. "You can save." Hansol looked up into those yellow eyes. "I'm going to try. But I need you to trust me. Some of what I do might look wrong to you. Your friend's own healing is killing him. I have to stop it temporarily." The Varrock's claws flexed, a gesture that had made braver men run. But Hansol held its gaze. Finally, the warrior nodded. "Save him. Whatever needed." For the next 3 hours, Hansol worked. He had to invent new procedures on the spot, combining what little he knew about Varrock biology with his human medical training. G1 stayed steady, handing him tools and monitoring vitals. The healthy Varrock never moved from its spot by the wall, watching every move. Just before dawn, Hansol stepped back and pulled off his gloves. "He'll live," he said simply. "The healing factor is back to normal. The shrapnel is out. He needs rest now." The watching Varrock moved forward to look at its companion. The injured one's color had improved, and its breathing was strong. The warrior turned to Hansol and did something that hadn't been seen in centuries. It lowered its head in respect to a non-Varrock. "Name?" it asked. "Dr. Hansol Kim. I am Commander Kex. You have done what our best said impossible. The Varrock do not forget such things." As Hansol watched them leave, the commander carrying its now stable friend, he had a feeling his quiet nights were about to become much less quiet. He didn't know it yet, but that single surgery was about to change the relationship between humans and the most feared warriors in space forever. He picked up his cold coffee and smiled. Sometimes, the most important changes started with just one person needing help, even if that person happened to be a 7-foot-tall alien warrior. 3 days had passed since Dr. Hansol Kim had treated his first Varrock patient. He sat in his office, studying the medical scans from that night. Something about the Varrock's healing system bothered him. It was too aggressive, too quick to react. He had a feeling this wasn't natural, even for their species. The clinic's door chime rang. Ji-won's voice came through his comm. "Doctor, they're back." Han-Sol hurried to the front desk. Commander Kex stood there, taking up most of the waiting room. 2 more Verrucks waited outside, visible through the clinic's windows. Their presence had cleared the area of other patients. "Dr. Kim," Kex said, its voice rumbling. "My warrior lives, but something is wrong." Han-Sol nodded. "Bring him in. I've been studying the scans." The injured Verruck from 3 nights ago walked in on its own, but its movements were stiff. Its scales had a dull look that Han-Sol didn't like. He led them to the exam room, with Ji-won following close behind. "When did the symptoms start?" Han-Sol asked as he ran his scanner. "Yesterday. Healing too fast. Tissue feels wrong." The warrior touched its chest where the surgery had been. The scar was almost gone, which wasn't right. Even Verruck healing should have taken a week to reach that stage. Han-Sol looked at his readings and frowned. "Your healing factor is in overdrive. It's not just healing injuries anymore. It's attacking healthy tissue." He pointed to the screen. "See these patterns? Your body is fighting itself." Commander Kex moved closer. "Cause." "I think." Han-Sol paused, choosing his words carefully. "I think someone has modified your species' healing ability. Made it stronger than it should be. But they didn't account for long-term effects." The room grew very quiet. Ji-won stopped arranging medical tools. The Verrucks looked at each other, and Han-Sol saw something he never expected. Fear. "The improvements," the injured warrior said softly. "They said they made us better." Han-Sol's mind raced. He needed more information, but he could see his patient's condition was getting worse. "I can help," he said firmly. "But I need to know everything about these improvements. And I need your trust." Commander Kex's claws clicked against the metal exam table. "Others must know. Not just him affected. All warriors have improvement?" Han-Sol asked. "All. For 3 generations." Kex's yellow eyes fixed on Han-Sol. "Can fix." Han-Sol looked at his scanner again. "Yes. But it won't be easy. Your body needs to relearn its natural healing rhythm. I'll need to create a treatment that slowly reduces the artificial enhancement while strengthening your natural healing." Ji-won spoke up for the first time. "Doctor, we don't have enough supplies for a large-scale treatment." "Then we'll start with one," Han-Sol said. He turned to his patient. "You'll be the first. If it works, we can help others. But you need to understand. This will make you heal more slowly than you're used to. You won't be as quick to recover from injuries." The warrior straightened its spine. Better slow healing than body fighting self. Over the next 6 hours, Han-Sol and Ji-won worked to create a new treatment. They combined human immune suppressants with Verruck tissue samples, testing each batch carefully. The commander never left the room, watching and asking questions that showed a sharp mind behind the warrior exterior. Finally, Han-Sol held up a blue-tinted vial. "This should work. It will take several treatments, but each one will help your body return to its natural state." As he administered the first dose, Han-Sol noticed Ji-won had stopped flinching every time the Verrucks moved. Instead, she was explaining the treatment process to them, using simple diagrams she had drawn. The injured warrior looked at the injection site. "Feel different. Calmer." Han-Sol smiled. "That's good. Your body is beginning to remember its original rhythm. You'll need to come back every 3 days for the next dose." Commander Kex stepped forward. "If works, more will come. Many more." "We'll be ready," Han-Sol said. He looked at Ji-won, who nodded firmly. "This clinic helps anyone who needs it, no matter who they are." As he watched the Verrucks leave, Han-Sol realized something had changed. These weren't just patients anymore. They were becoming something Earth's best diplomats had failed to create. They were becoming friends. 2 weeks had passed since the first treatment, and Dr. Hansol Kim's clinic was busier than ever. The waiting room held an unusual mix. Human traders sat nervously next to Varrock warriors, all waiting their turn. G1 had gotten so used to their tall, scaled patients that she didn't even blink when they ducked through doorways anymore. "Next," she called out, checking her tablet. A young Varrock stepped forward, smaller than most but still towering over her. "Room 2, please." Hansol was finishing notes on his last patient when Ji1 brought in the new one. This Varrock had bright blue markings on its scales, a sign of youth among their kind. "What brings you here today?" Hansol asked, picking up his scanner. The young Varrock shifted nervously. "Commander Keck said you help with healing sickness." Hansol nodded encouragingly. "The enhanced healing factor?" "Yes, we've been treating that." "How long have you noticed problems?" 2 seasons. Wake up in pain. Bones hurt when healing." The Varrock's tail twitched, a sign of distress Hansol had learned to recognize. "Others say weakness, say should be proud of fast healing. But you know something's wrong." Hansol finished gently. "You're right. The enhanced healing isn't natural. It's hurting you." As Hansol examined the young Varrock, Ji1 updated their growing database of Varrock medical information. They had learned more about Varrock biology in 2 weeks than Earth scientists had discovered in 50 years. "Doctor," Ji1 said, showing him her tablet, "this is the 12th case this week. The pattern is spreading faster in younger warriors." Hansol frowned. The young Varrock looked worried, so he explained in simple terms, "Your generation is having more problems because the enhanced healing has been in your family longer. But we can help." Just then, the clinic's emergency alarm sounded. Ji1 checked the security feed and gasped. "Doctor, there's a Varrock medical transport landing in the back lot." Hansol rushed to the back entrance. A sleek black ship had landed, marked with the Varrock military symbol. Commander Keck stepped out, followed by 4 warriors carrying medical pods. "Dr. Kim," Keck said quickly. "Training accident. 5 young ones affected. Normal doctors cannot help." Hansol was already moving. "Bring them in." G1. "Prep the large treatment room. We'll need all our supplies of the new medicine." For the next 4 hours, Hansol and G1 worked nonstop. The young warriors had been practicing combat moves when their enhanced healing had gone wrong, fusing muscle tissue instead of repairing it. The scene reminded Hansol of old stories about human athletes using dangerous drugs to get stronger. As they treated the last patient, an older Varrock entered the clinic. Its armor was more decorated than the others, showing high rank. "I am Medical Chief Rao," it announced. "We have watched your work, Dr. Kim. You treat our warriors without fear, without judgment." Hansol stood straight, tired but proud. "Everyone deserves care. Your people have suffered from these enhancements for too long." The medical chief moved closer, studying the treatment room. "For generations, we trusted no outside doctors. Too many tried to learn our weaknesses, to harm, not heal." It turned to face Hansol. "But you fix what others did to us." "I'm just a doctor," Hansol said simply. "When someone is hurt, I help. That's all." Medical Chief Rao made a sound that Hansol had never heard from a Varrock before. A laugh. "Just a doctor? No, you are changemaker, bridge builder." It pulled out a data crystal. "These are our medical records, all of them. Use them to help more of our people." Ji1's eyes went wide. No non-Varrock had ever seen their complete medical data. Hansol took the crystal carefully. "Thank you for trusting us," he said. "We won't let you down." As the medical chief left, Hansol looked around his clinic. The young Varrock from earlier was helping Ji1 organize supplies. In the waiting room, more warriors sat patiently. The fear that had always surrounded their species was fading, replaced by something new, hope. Just a normal day at the office, he said to himself, smiling as he got back to work. Dr. Hansol Kim was sleeping when the emergency alerts woke him. All 3 clinic alarms were blaring at once. He grabbed his coat and ran from his quarters above the clinic, still in his sleeping clothes. Ji-won was already at the front desk, her face pale. "Doctor, there's been an accident. A Verok training ship crashed into their carrier's engine room. They're bringing in survivors now." The sound of ships filled the air. Through the clinic windows, Hansol saw 5 Verok medical transports landing in the street. The whole area was bathed in red emergency lights. Commander Kex burst through the door. "Dr. Kim, 37 wounded. Engine explosion. Many young ones." Hansol's mind raced. His clinic had only 10 beds, but there was no time to worry about that now. "Ji-won, call every doctor on the station. We need help." "Already tried," she said. They're afraid of treating so many Veroks at once." Hansol felt anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. Anger wouldn't help now. "Then we do it ourselves. Commander, I need your healthy warriors to move all the furniture out. We'll turn the whole clinic into one big treatment room." The next few minutes were chaos. Verok warriors carried in their wounded companions while others quickly cleared the space. Ji-won turned the waiting room into a supply station, lining up medical kits and treatment vials. The first patients were mostly young trainees. Their enhanced healing was making their injuries worse, just as Hansol had feared. Burns that should have healed clean were turning into hard, scaled masses. Broken bones were fusing wrong. "We need to stop their healing factors first," he told Ji-won as they worked. "Then treat the actual injuries." He looked at a young Verok whose arm was healing at the wrong angle. "I'm sorry, but we'll have to break some bones again to fix them properly." The wounded warriors didn't complain. They lay still, trusting the human doctor who had proven himself to their people. Some even tried to refuse treatment, saying others needed help more. Hour after hour passed. Hansol lost track of time. His arms ached from setting bones and giving injections. Ji-won's hands shook as she prepared more medicine, but she didn't stop. Commander Kex and the other healthy warriors helped wherever they could, learning basic medical tasks as they went. At hour 30, Medical Chief Ral arrived. It found Hansol resetting a warrior's leg bone. The human doctor was pale from lack of sleep, his white coat stained with green Verok blood, but his hands were steady. Other doctors still refused to help. The medical chief asked. Hansol nodded, too tired to speak. He finished wrapping the lei and moved to the next patient. "Then they are fools," Ral said. "And you are a true healer." It began removing its formal armor. "Show me how to help." By hour 50, they had stabilized most of the patients. The critical cases were healing correctly now, thanks to the treatment Hansol had developed. Ji-won had taught the healthy warriors how to monitor vital signs and change bandages. At hour 72, Hansol treated the last patient. He looked around his clinic. Every surface held a sleeping or healing Verok. Ji-won was dozing in a chair, surrounded by empty medicine vials. Commander Kex stood guard at the door, while Medical Chief Ral checked on the recovering warriors. "Doctor," Kex said softly, "you should rest now." Hansol nodded. His vision was getting blurry. "Wake me if anyone's condition changes." "We will watch over them," Ral promised. "And over you. You have shown what it truly means to be strong." As Hansol finally lay down in his office, using his coat as a blanket, he realized something amazing. In the past 3 days, not a single patient had died. Against all odds, they had saved everyone. His last thought before sleep took him was simple. Sometimes the greatest victories don't come from fighting, but from healing. A week after the big accident, Dr. Hansol Kim's clinic had settled into a new normal. Many of the injured warriors still needed daily treatment, but they were healing well. What surprised him most was how the clinic's atmosphere had changed. Today, he walked into the recovery room to find Ji-won sitting with a group of young Veroks. They were sharing lunch. The warriors eating their raw meat while Ji-won had her noodles. One of them, a warrior called Rix, was especially interested in human ways. "So humans take many years to train as healers?" Rix asked, his blue-marked scales shining in the clinic's lights. "Yes," Jai-Won said. "Dr. Kim studied for 10 years before he could treat patients alone." Hansol smiled as he checked the nearest patient's vitals. These casual talks had become common, and each one taught them more about each other. Commander Kex entered the room, carrying a large box. Dr. Kim brought something to show thanks. Inside the box were data crystals and old books written in the Varrock language. Hansol picked one up carefully. "These are our history," Kex explained. "Story of our people. Why we became warriors." For the next hour, Kex told them about the Varrock homeworld. It was a harsh planet with 3 suns and dangerous beasts. The Varrocks hadn't chosen to be warriors. They had to become strong to survive. "Our healing gift was natural once," Kex said. "Slow but sure. Then came the wars. Leaders wanted faster healing, made changes to our bodies. They thought they were making you stronger," Hansol said, understanding more now. "But they didn't see the long-term problems." Rix moved closer, interested in the old books. "I never knew this history. They only teach us about battles in school." Jai-Won was taking notes on her tablet. She had started keeping records of Varrock culture alongside their medical data. "Your natural healing must have been amazing to evolve on such a dangerous world." "Yes," said a deep voice. Medical Chief Ral had entered quietly. "We were proud race before changes, strong, but also wise." The chief picked up one of the books. "These tell of time when we were healers too, not just warriors." This was news to Hansol. "Your people had doctors." "Long ago," Ral nodded. "Before wars, before changes, we healed with plants, with knowledge passed down. But we lost this when we became focused only on fighting." The young warriors listened closely. Many had never heard these stories. Hansol saw wonder in their eyes. They were seeing their own people in a new way. One of the recovering warriors spoke up. "Could we learn healing again?" "If you want to," Hansol said. "Medicine needs warriors too, people who won't give up, who will fight for others' lives." Rick stood up straighter. "I want to learn. Want to help like you helped us." Jai-Won smiled. "Maybe you could be our first Varrock medical student." The idea spread through the room like wildfire. Soon, several young warriors were asking questions about human medical training. Even Commander Kex looked pleased. "Change is coming," Ral said quietly to Hansol. "New generation sees different path." Hansol watched as Jai-Won began teaching Rix how to use a medical scanner. The young Varrock's claws moved carefully, gently, showing he could control his warrior strength. "Your people were never just warriors," Hansol told Ral. "You were survivors. Now you can choose what you want to survive as." As the afternoon went on, more stories were shared. The warriors told tales of their homeworld's beauty, not just its dangers. They spoke of ancient Varrock art and music, things many had forgotten existed. In that small clinic, something amazing was happening. With every story shared, every bit of knowledge exchanged, the walls between their species grew a little smaller. The most feared warriors in space were remembering they could be more than just fighters. And it all started because one human doctor had seen them as people who needed help, not monsters to fear. The attack came without warning. Dr. Hansol Kim was checking on Rix's medical studies when the trading post's alarms started blaring. Red emergency lights flashed throughout the clinic. "Pirates!" Jai-Won shouted from the front desk. A whole fleet of crack ships just dropped out of jump space. The cracks were known raiders, bug-like aliens who attacked trading posts for supplies. They especially hated the Varrocks, who often protected merchant ships from their raids. Commander Kex burst into the clinic. "Doctor, station defenses are down. Cracks are landing. You must leave now." But Hansol was already moving in the opposite direction, grabbing medical supplies. "No. There will be wounded. The clinic stays open." "Doctor." Kex growled. Cracks kill humans on sight. Then we'll need to stop them, Hansol said firmly. He turned to his young Verok student. Rix, help Jai-1 set up the emergency beds. We're going to have patients soon. The first explosions rocked the trading post. Through the windows, they could see Cracks warriors moving through the streets, their chitinous armor gleaming. People ran for shelter. Commander Kex made a quick decision. Warriors, defend the clinic. The Verok patients who could still fight took up positions around the building. Even those still healing stood guard where they could. The first wounded arrived, a mix of humans and aliens caught in the initial attack. Hansol and J1 treated them quickly, with Rix helping to move the serious cases to safety. Then came the sound they all feared, clicking footsteps approaching the clinic. A group of Cracks raiders had spotted the building. You should hide, Kex told Hansol. We will protect this place. Hansol shook his head. This is a place of healing. I won't hide. The Cracks attacked in force. The recovering Verok warriors fought back, protecting the clinic with their bodies. Even injured, they were fierce fighters. But they were careful too. Hansol saw how they tried to disable rather than kill when they could. The battle raged for what felt like hours. Hansol kept working, treating anyone who was brought in, including, to everyone's surprise, a wounded Cracks raider who'd been knocked unconscious. Why help enemy? Commander Kex asked as he watched Hansol treat the Cracks' injuries. Because that's what doctors do, Hansol said simply. We help everyone. The fighting finally ended when Verok ships arrived from the nearby patrol route. The Cracks fleet retreated, leaving their ground forces stranded. The raiders surrendered when they realized they were trapped. As the dust settled, Hansol found himself in an unusual situation. His clinic was full of patients from 3 different species: humans, Veroks, and now Cracks. The wounded raiders were nervous at first, expecting revenge. Instead, they watched in confusion as the human doctor treated everyone with the same care. You are strange, human, one of the Cracks said as Hansol bandaged its arm. Our kind attacked you, yet you help. A doctor's job is to heal, Hansol replied. It doesn't matter who you are or what you've done. The Verok High Command arrived the next day to deal with the Cracks prisoners. They found something unexpected. Several raiders asking to stay on the station, wanting to learn more about this strange human healing place. Medical Chief Ral surveyed the scene with approval. You have created something unique here, Dr. Kim. A place where even enemies can find peace. Hansol looked around his clinic. Rix was showing the curious Cracks how to use a medical scanner. G1 was teaching a Verok warrior about human medicine. Former enemies lay in beds next to each other, sharing stories as they healed. Not just me, Hansol said. We all did this, every person who chose to trust, to help, to heal instead of hurt. He smiled at a group of young Veroks who had defended the clinic. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't fighting, it's showing mercy. The test had been passed. The clinic hadn't just survived, it had shown a new way forward. A place where the most feared warriors in space could become protectors of peace, where enemies could become students of healing, and where one human doctor's simple belief in helping others had changed everything. 1 month after the Cracks attack, Dr. Hansol Kim stood in his clinic's doorway, watching a strange sight. Workers were putting up a new sign, a large symbol that combined the human medical cross with the Verok military crest. Never thought I'd see that, Jai-1 said, standing beside him. The Verok actually changed their military symbol for us. The change meant more than just a new sign. The Verok High Command had officially named the clinic a sacred healing ground, the first time any non-Verok place had received this honor. Inside, the clinic was busier than ever. Rix was teaching 3 other young Veroks how to use medical equipment. In the corner, a former Cracks raider was learning about bandaging techniques from J1. Commander Kex entered, followed by Medical Chief Ral and someone new, a tall Verok wearing the markings of the High Command. Dr. Kim, Ral said formally. This is High Commander telephone. It has come with an offer. Hansol led them to his office. The High Commander looked around with interest at the mix of human and Varrock medical tools. Doctor, Tell spoke in perfect English. Your work here has not gone unnoticed. You have done what our best diplomats could not. You have shown our people can trust others. I just helped people who needed it, Hansol said simply. Yes. Tell nodded. And that simple act has changed everything. The High Commander placed a data crystal on the desk. We want you to train other doctors, human and Varrock, in your methods. Hansol picked up the crystal. You mean the medical treatments? Not just treatments, Ral explained. Your way of healing, of seeing past species and old fears, of treating everyone as worth helping. Jaiwan, who had been quietly taking notes, spoke up. You want to make more clinics like this one? Yes, Tell said. On every major trading post. On Varrock worlds too. Places where all species can find help. The High Commander looked at Hansol. Will you teach others? Hansol thought about everything that had happened. He remembered the first night when Commander Kex brought in a dying warrior. He thought about Rix's excitement at learning medicine, and how former enemies now worked together in his clinic. Yes, he said, but I have one condition. The Varrocks waited silently. Jaiwan gets full access to the Varrock medical archives, Hansol said. She's been building the most complete guide to treating different species. With your records, she could help even more people. Tell looked surprised, then pleased. You ask nothing for yourself. The clinic is all I need, Hansol said. But Jaiwan's work could save countless lives. The High Commander stood and did something shocking. It bowed to both humans. Granted, she will be the first non-Varrock ever given this access. Jaiwan's eyes were wide. I thank you. I'll use it well. We know you will, Ral said kindly. You have both proven yourselves true healers. After the Varrocks left, Hansol and Jaiwan sat in comfortable silence. Through the office window, they could see Rix explaining human medicine to a group of interested Varrock warriors. Things are really changing, Jaiwan said softly. For the better, Hansol replied. The Varrocks are remembering who they were before the wars, not just warriors, but healers too. And the other species? Jaiwan asked. Even some Cracks are learning medicine now. Hansol smiled as he watched a young Cracks carefully practicing with a medical scanner. Everyone has the capacity to heal, to help others. Sometimes, they just need to be shown it's possible. Outside, the new sign caught the light of the trading post's artificial sun. The combined symbol seemed to glow, a beacon of hope in the darkness of space. It stood for something new, a place where the most feared species in the galaxy had learned to be healers once again, and where a simple human doctor had shown that the strongest medicine of all was treating everyone with care and respect. 5 years had passed since that first night when Commander Kex brought a dying warrior to Dr. Hansol Kim's small clinic. Now, Hansol stood in front of a building that would have seemed impossible back then, the Interspecies Medical Center. The old clinic had grown into something amazing. 4 new wings stretched out from the original building, each specialized for different species needs. The combined human-Varrock medical symbol flew proudly above the entrance. Jaiwan, now Chief of Medical Research, walked up beside him. Hard to believe how much has changed, isn't it? Hansol nodded, watching the morning shift arrive. Human doctors walked in alongside Varrock healers. Former Cracks raiders, now trained as nurses, checked supplies. Other species he never imagined working together moved with purpose, all focused on one goal: helping others. Dr. Kim, a familiar voice called out. Rix, no longer the nervous young warrior, strode toward them. His blue-marked scales had darkened with age, and he wore the symbols of both a Varrock warrior and a certified medical practitioner. Ready for the big day? Hansol asked with a smile. My students are nervous, Rix said. First time young Varrocks will train alongside human medical students. They'll do fine, Jai-1 assured him. You did, after all. Inside, the center was busy as always. Commander Kex, now aged but still strong, helped guide new patients to the right departments. The old warrior had refused to retire, saying he'd found his true purpose as the center's head of security. Medical Chief Ral, who visited often, was teaching a class in the lecture hall. Through the door, Hansol could see humans, Varrocs, and even 3 cracks listening carefully as Ral explained the history of Varroc healing arts. Doctor, a young human nurse called out. The new group from the academy is here. Hansol walked to the main entrance. 20 students waited there, a mix of humans, Varrocs, and other species. All of them had chosen to train at the center, learning not just medicine, but how to work together. Welcome, he said simply. You're here because you want to help others. That's all that matters in this place. As he led them on a tour, Hansol heard excited whispers. The students had all heard the story, how this place started with one human doctor helping one Varroc warrior, how that simple act of kindness had changed everything. They passed the research wing, where Jai-1's team worked on combining the best of all species' medical knowledge. The walls were lined with awards and recognition from across the galaxy. But Hansol was most proud of the simple thank you notes from patients. In the treatment rooms, he showed them how different species worked together. A Varroc surgeon's steady hands were perfect for delicate operations. Cracks workers could sense infections before they showed on scanners. Humans brought their creativity and adaptability to solving medical problems. 5 years ago, Hansol told the students, most people thought Varrocs were just warriors. Cracks were just raiders. Every species was trapped in old fears and prejudices. He smiled at a group of children, human, Varroc, and cracks, playing together in the pediatric ward. Look how wrong they were. Later that day, Hansol sat in his office, the same one from the old clinic, kept exactly as it was. On his desk sat the original scanner he used to treat that first Varroc patient. Beside it stood a holophoto of the first graduating class, with Rix standing proud among them. Commander Kex knocked and entered. Thinking deep thoughts, Doctor. Just remembering, Hansol said. Did you ever imagine that first night it would lead to all this? Kex made the laughing sound that once seemed so strange coming from a Varroc. No, hoped only to save one warrior. Instead, you helped save our soul. Hansol looked out his window at the busy medical center. Somewhere out there, other clinics like this one were operating on other worlds. Other doctors were learning to see past differences. Other lives were being changed. We all did it together, he said, one patient at a time, one lesson at a time, one small kindness at a time. And that, he knew, was the greatest medicine of all.